Hello,
Oh, hello, Natalia. So nice to see you. How are you?
fine. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Is everyone safe? Everyone's healthy? Is everything okay?
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Pretty
very
well.
well. That's very well.
Say hello from me to your mom.
Yes, of course I will. Thank you very much. Yes, she always remembers our days in Lviv as paradise. So yes, our most favorite courses
Thank you.
when
Thank
we do
you.
them in
Great
Lviv.
to hear.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Okay.
Um, yeah, waiting for everyone else to join. Okay. Oh, nice.
Hello, nice to
Hello.
see you.
Nice to see you. Hello, hello.
Hello,
So sweet. Happy belated birthday. I
thank you.
I saw that on Facebook. How is everything with you?
Well, it's okay, thanks.
Okay, good. Right. Mm, hey, that's very nice. We'll get some people joining. Mm, right. Joining. That's very nice. Mm, right. Okay, let's wait one more minute and we'll start. All right. So I guess everyone else will be joining probably in a moment. Mm, okay. So in the meantime, I would like to introduce myself for those who don't know me. Um, so my name is Anna Basrab, and I'm working currently at International Language Center in Kiev. I'm CELTA qualified and I'm CELTA trainer. Also, I'm CELTS and CELT-P trainer, and I've been doing that since 20, like all of these courses, I've been doing them since 2017. We've done several CELTA courses in Lviv, which was a great pleasure to do. And I'm also an international speaking examiner, and I've been doing that since 2015, if I'm not mistaken. So I've been teaching since 2009, and I've taught children, very young learners. I've prepared both children, adults, and teenagers for various Cambridge exams. I've taught business English, general English, different speaking intensives, and you name it. And today I would really like to share what I've learned about classroom management and how to deal with different obstacles that may occur when we teach online. When we got our first lockdown, everyone probably was shocked because nobody knew much about teaching online. But today we know a little bit more, and I would like to share what I've learned, what my colleagues have shared, and maybe we can also learn something from your experience because there will be like a little questions and answers session. And I know various teachers know different tips, different interesting applications or websites that help a lot to make your lessons more engaging, more motivating and interesting for your learners. All right. So I guess everyone's here, so we can start. First of all, I'd like you to look at the question, and can you please take a minute or two and think about what is classroom management for you when you teach outside your apartment, when you teach in real classroom. So what do you take into account when you teach? Can you take a moment? Can you type, please, a couple of answers in the chat box so we can compare what we already know about classroom management? Right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, rapport, yes, very nice and important element. Timing and scope of activities. Thank you, Victoria. Of course, instructions. We can go nowhere without good ones. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yes, that's a very good like general explanation. That's the ability to organize work and time in your teaching environment. All right, so thank you for your ideas. So let's look at one of the definitions that was provided by @glossary. So widely, it refers to different skills and techniques that we can apply when teaching to organize students, to keep them motivated, to keep them focused, and also to make our lives in the classroom easier, both for us and for our students. Because if we give, let's say, unclear instructions, our students don't know what to do. They start misbehaving. You time to put them back on the track. So it becomes a little bit difficult and time consuming. So in general, in order to have a nice, productive class, both for you and for your learners, we need to apply various techniques in order to do so. If you have this handout, download it. I know that the school provided you with the copies. If not, if it's not convenient, look at the blue phrases and words that refer to classroom management. And could you please match them to their definitions? There are 8 of them. So for example, number 1 would be giving instructions. Let's take up to 5 minutes. And can you please write down what you think? Which is which? Okay, yes, you can compare your answers. Yes, so look what other participants think. And compare if you have the same or different ideas. Let's take 1 more minute, please. All right. Let's take 15 seconds, please. Okay, so I'm going to review the answers. So feel free to take a screenshot. All right, so did you mostly get the same or a little bit different answers? Can you type, for example, plus in the chat if you have everything correct? Right, very nice. Cool, good, good. Okay, I'm pretty sure that you did everything right. So these are usual techniques that we apply when we teach a face-to-face lesson, when we have our students in the classroom. So we do everything to make sure that our classroom and class is effective. Now let's think about which of these do we need to take into account when we teach online? And are they the same as in real classroom, or might be a little bit different? Hmm? So, getting attention, right? So if you're teaching adults, all right, they are listening, they're there, they're focused because they are motivated, they paid some money, and they want to receive the knowledge. And if we're teaching, for example, little kids, and suddenly they get excited, perhaps they watched a cartoon, they did speaking exercise with you, or maybe even TPR if you um, do that in your lessons. And you really need them to listen to you. So one of the ways to get their attention, if you teach in Zoom, you can mute everybody. So suddenly everything will become quiet. Mhm. And they will be focused. They will see, aha, something is different. Okay, we need to look. And then you can start giving your instructions. So I would say that's one of the most effective ways, but we still need to get our students' attention. Sometimes something even simple can be used. Mm, in Zoom, you have also an option of providing with reaction. There is like a smiley face drawn there, and you can ask your students, can you please give me thumbs up if you're ready? Hmm? And sometimes students do like this, like visually, I mean, in real life, or they can use this reaction button and give you any reaction if they're, for example, ready, or if they're listening, if they're there. Because sometimes we have students who don't have very stable internet connection, and they must turn their cameras off to maintain, at least to listen and not to be kicked out from the session. Sometimes the cameras don't work, so you can see black screen and my muted microphone. You have absolutely no idea who is behind that black screen and muted microphone. So to actually not to shout, Alex, are you there? Alex, are you with us? Yes, so you can ask your students that sometime during the lesson you will ask them to give you that reaction, and in order to be there on time, so they need to be focused and stay connected all the time and not wandering somewhere getting a cup of coffee for themselves or a cup of tea. So probably in the online environment, getting attention is quite crucial. Oh, so once we've got our students' attention, of course, we need to give them instructions. And instructions are vital, I would say, in online environment, because let's imagine something, the activity was a little bit difficult. You gave your students instructions, something went wrong, they were not there, you see that they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. An easy moment, you can clap your hands and say, okay, can I have your attention, please? Stop where you are, and you start doing it. If your students are working in breakout rooms and you start jumping from room to room and you see that they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, it is time consuming to stop that activity and to restart it. Because offline, you clapped your hands, you said, okay, stop where you are, listen to me. You either listen to instructions or you give the instructions one more time, but it's faster. Here, in order to have your lessons effective, you need to stay focused while giving instructions, and you need to make sure that they're listening and that your instructions are staged and properly staged, so you know when they receive an activity, for example, when they open their books, if they need to open their books or if they need to look at your screen. if your students need to write anything, if they have anything to write with, right? So all these tiny bits and pieces and elements may actually be crucial and at some point even, God forbid, but destroy the activity. So once we've given our clear instructions, it's a good idea to check the instructions. And especially we should check instructions with those who have their cameras off. And you ask, like, particularly those people, like I have a boy, Danya, in my classroom. Something's wrong, he has no camera. So every time I ask him, okay, Danya, do we work alone or with a partner? With a partner. And then I have another boy, Alex, who tends to wander away. So, and I see, Alex, do we need to write anything? Okay. So if he doesn't answer, I know that he is somewhere. So I can later file a tiny report against him or a report to his parents. But in general, instruction checking questions will actually help you a lot to understand if you gave clear instructions to your students and they know what they will be doing. Mind you that the process of giving instructions and asking those ICQs may be a little bit time consuming in general. It will be longer than in the classroom. Okay. Once we've given our instructions, it's always a good idea to do the task or to do an example with your students. So let's imagine we are doing with you a gap fill task. So I told you to open your books, look at exercise 5, and at the same time, I would be demonstrating my screen. So I would be sharing my screen, showing the exercise. And usually, for example, Adobe Acrobat or other, how to say, programs, they usually have like a marker or a highlighter, which you can use to circle which activity they need to be doing. Very effective. They then don't ask, so what exercise? Exercise 3, 4? And you say, okay, can you see the yellow circle? This is our exercise. So then you checked if they work individually or in pairs, if they need to write anything. And then you say, okay, now let's do number 1 together. And your students, for example, the strongest student can do one example to see if everybody understands what they're doing. Okay, monitoring. In the real classroom, we've given our instructions, we demonstrated the task, we can see how our students have started working. At some point, we can stand up, look a little bit around, see, right, what they're doing. In the online environment, it becomes a little bit more difficult. So if you use breakout rooms, which is a good idea if we need to provide our students with some speaking task, maybe pair check or something, but we still need to check if they're doing there, if they're speaking English there at least. So there are some options. So first of all, it's a good idea to turn off your camera before you start jumping from room to room. Because when there are 2 people, they're talking, and then suddenly, bam, your face appears there. It can be a little bit intimidating because the screens are usually, they have like only two people there, and it's, somebody else popped up. When it's just dark screen and your name, it's a little bit less distracting. And also they may not notice that you are there. And if they don't speak or don't do the task, what they were supposed to be doing, you can notice that and ask them, okay, so do you need any help, or if they're ready or something like this. Another trick is you can connect um, to your session from both your telephone and your um, computer. And you can jump from room to room using both your telephone and the computer. Hmm? Okay, yeah, so that's a good idea. So most people do that already. Unfortunately, these are the only two ways how we can monitor them, at least at more or less at the same time, seeing what they're doing. Mm, Also, you can ask them to, when they are ready, that they can come back. So you from the breakout room, and you will know, okay, these are ready, but somebody else needs to maybe a minute or two more. Also, while I'm monitoring, if I see they're around the time to finish, I also type, there is a function, broadcast message. So I say, for example, 2 minutes left. Pam, and everybody sees, okay, so they have 2 more minutes, and then they will be either the rooms will close or they will be transferred to another room. We'll talk about that in a way. Okay, yes, so multi-monitoring, yes, using various devices. All right, yes, that's a good idea, because if you know that your students might be not speaking Russian, or not speaking English, I'm sorry, and not doing the task, just getting distracted, then of course those various ways of spying on them are a good idea. All right, so let's get going. Pair check. We know that this is essential, and it's always a good idea to do so, because it gives our students some confidence. They can reassure if they have right or wrong answers, maybe peer teach each other. But as you must know, that going and leaving breakout rooms takes a lot of time. If it's a real classroom, you ask, okay, turn to your partner. Yes, they looked at the partner, they compared with what they have. Fine, 30 seconds. With these breakout rooms, so you need to send them to breakout rooms. Everybody has to connect. Then they do the task. Then there is that extra minute that gets them out of the breakout room. So one way to save that time is ask them, when you're ready, please come back. So they will be responsible for coming back themselves. Also, sometimes it's just possible to sacrifice that pair check. So if imagine you have 4 sentences to fill in or to answer the question. So if it's not that essential, it's possible to sacrifice for more productive tasks. It's also possible to use this private chat, so they can type each other what answers they have, and they compare in their private chats. So a possible way. If you have your students like in a Telegram group, they can take a picture and send each other what they have. And that could also save some time, so they can exchange the photographs, look at, okay, I have the same, I have different, and then you can collect some feedback from your students. Okay, we've got some nice idea. Right, so we started talking about feedback. So of course, after they've done the task, compared everything, it's always necessary to provide our students with feedback, with what to give them correct answers, and to give them understanding if they were doing how many mistakes they made, or if they made any, maybe discuss those mistakes again if necessary. Feedback, to make it a little bit varied, it's possible to ask your students to use a function on your screen. It's called annotate. So your students can start writing something on the teacher's screen. So you can ask, for example, one person, can you please write something, or write the letter or the correct answer? And when they annotate, they can, for example, they can type text, I don't know, something like something like this. It's possible to do, yes, or they can start drawing something. Then you just, at some time, you just do clear all drawings. And for your students not to get overexcited with this, as a teacher, you can disable annotation for others. And there is a function in Zoom that provides it, so it means they won't be able to draw anything on your screen and distract everybody else. One more possible way of giving feedback in online environment is you start and you type the correct answers, and you make them visual. Why we need to type the answers? Because somebody got distracted, they will say, so what's number 3? And you are doing number 8 already. So not to have that situation, you keep them visual so they can, okay, everybody can see, they can compare with what they have. If you use different applications, like, for example, live worksheets, they provide with a function check answers, and it will pop up on their screens. And there is also another option, is to send the answers or the results to the teacher. Could be assigned as homework, and if you receive the letters, so you will understand, okay, somebody did, somebody didn't do homework. Another option is you ask them to screenshot, and you use those screenshots later on to compare and to analyze their mistakes. And another part of feedback, in order to keep them alert and focused, for example, I do number 1, I say, okay, sentence number 1, A. And then I ask, Oksana, can you please do sentence number 2? And Oksana will say 2C. And then I'll ask, okay, Oksana, now can you nominate the next person? And Oksana will choose someone from our list to do that. It keeps students interested, motivated, because they don't know when they will be asked and who will ask them to give the answer. Okay. So, as it comes to variety of interaction patterns, again, in the classroom, we have various ways of regrouping using candies, markers, shoelaces, pens, parts of collocations, you name those activities. Here, what can we do? We have no matching collocations, and everything becomes more difficult. What I usually do when we use this breakout rooms function, before you open the rooms, you have this create. You choose how many you need, automatically or manually, so you will assign those yourselves. To save time, I usually use automatically. If I don't like the pairing, I'll just exchange or move somebody to another group. And that will be, let's say, for a game, if we play a game with 3 teams, for example, that for me will be an indication who is playing in which team. Because if you have, let's imagine, 8 students and you have, or 9 students, have 3 groups of 3, it's difficult to remember who is working with whom, and save your energy, use the function, it's easier. And of course, when you're sharing your screen, the students don't see that box, so you can keep it open, and when you play the game you can nominate, okay, team number 1, your turn, team number 2, your turn, and you can use their names to address, to keep them alert, because at some point they also tend to forget who is playing with whom. So just to keep it organized, you can use that thing. There are also ways of regrouping if you don't want your students um, to leave breakout rooms. There are also ways to regroup them. You can use the exchange button, and you can just swap them from room to room, and you will not need to regroup, rearrange, recreate everything. It also saves your some time. All right, so we've discussed all the ways, how to give instructions, how to make everything work. So let's look at the activity. And these are stages of instructions for a gap fill activity. So can you please work individually? Can you reorder the stages of the activity to make them work? So put them in the correct order. I will help you that C, look at me, is number 1. Okay, so feel free to type your answers in the chat to see if we are on the same page with you. Let's take 30 more seconds. Okay. Right, so you can type in, yes, see if your colleagues chose the same or different order. Okay. All right, so let's look at the my version of this order. Okay. So look at the order. Did you have the same or different? Okay. Can you type plus, for example, if you have the same? Okay. All right, all right. All right, so I guess we mostly got the same order. So once we were discussing why not having this B stage somewhere earlier, it's a good idea first to give your instructions, to share your screen and to show everything on your screen, and only then give the file and students will start downloading. Because if you give them the file first and they will start downloading, finding something somewhere, it may turn into a nightmare, and it will be difficult for you and your students also to listen to you, because they will be distracted by the action of downloading and opening everything. So it's a good idea first to tell them what to do, show everything on your screen, and then ask them to work on their versions of the documents. Right. So I think you've got this handout as well. And you had probably had seen it even before you received this as a handout. So it's a typical information exchange where students need to describe the pictures to each other without showing their versions, and they need to find 10 differences in these pictures. So in the online environment, imagine you would like to do this. Can you please take 2-3 minutes, and can you think, what do you need to take into account before you set up this activity in the online classroom? Okay, 2-3 minutes, please. Okay, yes. There are some nice ideas in the chat box. Okay. Right. Okay, yes, there are very nice ideas there. All right, so let's look at the things and compare my list and compare with what you have. Okay. So first of all, if you have enough students and if you can organize pair work, because it's easier, and a group of 3 is always more difficult to organize, even the offline environment, because you need to decide who will be one student A and 2 students B, for example. Okay, right. So how much time it will take to set it up, because if your students need to find 10 differences, so it means they need some time to speak, at least 5 to 7 minutes, and before that you need to count how much, at least 5 more minutes or so to set up the task. Create 2 documents with separate tasks and think how you will share those documents. There are various possibilities. You can, if your students are using computers, it's easy. You can send private messages to each student with the task. If your students use tablets or mobile phones, unfortunately, this function doesn't work for their devices. So they will need to receive those tasks, probably via Telegram or via email, Viber, whatever you prefer. But again, you should think about it in advance so you can start the activity smoothly. Again, when and how to send the task. I've seen teachers who like sending like the bunch before the lesson, and then they just say, okay, now please open document 1, then please open document 2, 3, and so on. It is possible to do so as well if you like that way. And here you can also give instructions, demonstrate the task with one of the stronger students, and after that you can send the tasks to your students again via different means. Okay, how and who to demonstrate the task with? So probably the strongest student and the student who has no, who you are sure is using a computer, you can send the task directly to that person. So when you say, okay, for example, Alona, you are student A, I'm student B. And share, for example, your version or even it could be both versions on the screen, and you say something yourself. You make a sentence and ask, okay, Alina, is it the same or different? And when you found that it's different, you can use a marker or highlighter or some sort of pointer to show your students that these things are actually different, so they see what the task is. So when to organize breakout rooms? So there is this wonderful option of create. And then only when you're ready, when you've given up all the instructions, you can say, okay, now work with your partner. You open the rooms and everything starts working automatically. Right. One more thing to consider, remember that when you demonstrate the task and then your students go to breakout rooms, they don't see your screen anymore. So we've talked about different ways of monitoring. So you ask your students, you visit the rooms either secretly, or you ask your students to come back when they are ready. If we have these two pictures, so one way of giving feedback, you can, for example, circle or highlight somehow all the answers, all the differences, and then just at the end, open this file with all the correct answers and ask, okay, did you find the same or different things? Or you can just write sentences and students can read and say if they found which numbers they found. So that could be also a point to consider. Okay, and what if you have a group of 3? Again, think who is the strongest, who can work together as a group, as a pair, but being one letter A, and that you need to clearly tell them that they ask their sentences about their pictures in turns, so everyone has a chance both to ask, and then that student A will also need to ask in turns the B's, to make sure that everyone has also even opportunities to answer. So that's probably what you will need to go together with those guys in the room and just make clear the turns in which they're asked everything. Okay, so that brings us to the question, what if? So potential pitfalls and what if something happens during the lesson. So as we already talked about, you can mute your students before you give instructions if they are very loud. Sometimes you can even kick, if the student is misbehaving, kick them into the waiting room and then accept them so they are, kind of punished a little bit in a way. So again, your students can't download a handout if you're sending something. So you can ask your students, okay, look at my screen, take a screenshot. That's the fastest way. So they either, or they can take a picture with their telephones. That's also useful and they will have them straight away. So we also talked a little bit about that. Yes, you can turn off your camera, mute yourself, and sneak in. And as we've read in the tips from our colleagues, that you can actually use several headsets and several devices just to check what they're doing over there. So the task disappears. I already mentioned that. You can ask either your students to take a picture, download it before they enter the rooms, or you can also ask someone from the students to share their screen. That's also possible. At the beginning, it will take a little bit of time to teach them how to do that. But once they get used to it, it's no problem anymore. They will easily share their screens. Make sure that you have that button turned on, that multiple participants can share their room. So how to let them, the button is when you click on share the screen, there is like an arrow and it says the functions that multiple participants can share the screen. Once you are the host, you will see that in the share screen, or it can be in this more, where you have more and 3 dots and it goes drop down. You have the drop down menu. Another version, you can make it as a setting for your lesson, so you don't have to do it every time. So when you create your lesson, your Zoom meeting, you can go to the settings and you can find where this point is and just put a tick with the tick the correct tick that everyone can share their screen. Okay, so one student can join the breakout rooms. We have cases, sometimes students have bad internet connection. Create -1 breakout room. So you need 3 breakout rooms, you create 2, you leave 2 people in the main room and they work as a pair. So they don't need to jump and you don't need to send them anywhere. And it's easier for them and less frustrating for everybody. So again, we talked about it. Send private messages if you want them to compare their answers. Possibly send pictures via Telegram. So that also works. So if you want to do a task like I showed you before, but the students can't download the file, something happened, it's difficult for them for some reason today, use Jamboard. Very nice application. There is OApp. It even creates multiple versions for the students, and they can be working on one document, but everybody will have their own version. There is Padlet, especially good for writing. I like it very much, especially in class. And Miro, it's also a very nice application. You can create numerous activities and numerous tasks there, and it's almost endless. Okay, if you want to regroup your students, but you don't want to close the rooms and reopen them again, send a message in breakout rooms before you regroup, warning that, okay, today I'm gonna regroup you, don't panic. Okay, so how do you regroup? You use in breakout rooms box, you use this function of exchange or move, and the students will be automatically thrown into the room where you want them to go. Right, so let's discuss if we have any questions. So you can type your question or you can unmute yourself and ask your question live. Maybe you can share a tip if you have one. Or perhaps a difficult situation you've had in online classroom.
I have a question, Anna.
Yes, go ahead.
So I'm working with, I work with a group of 4 students, they are adults. And when I set up a class and while they're going to work, they, without my nominating them, they start answering before the limit finishes. Like idiot students, there is someone who starts answering and the other continue, and I'm worried that they didn't do all the filling the gaps, for example, yeah, and like answering orally, yeah, without making notes. And
so how to make sure you can actually ask your students to take a picture of what they've written and send it to either your group chat, if you have a group chat with your students. That could be the case. And also they can just open up and show you into the video what they've done, right? So
but is it really important?
If this grammar is important for them, then yes. If it's something new, then you would find it, they would find it useful actually writing everything or practicing writing it down. At least what you can also do, you can at least ask each student, even if you're not sure that they've done everything, you can ask each student to type an answer in the chat box or on your screen. The fastest version is to type in the chat box. Then at least one sentence they have written. You can make sure of that. Okay, thank you very much, Helena, for your question. So anything else would like to discuss? Or no, sorry, that was Elena. Yes. Who was, I'm not sure I found the right person who was, yes, Elena, that was you who was asking the question. I'm sorry. Okay, anything else we'd like to ask, maybe discuss? Okay, and a little piece of information. If you happen to be in Lviv next summer, from the 28th of June to the 23rd of July, and who wants to not only to relax, but also to learn something, you can take CELTA in Lviv with our center. And there is a super prize for that course in Lviv. Instead of 32 or almost 33,000 hryvnia and plus 132 pound certificate fee, you can get the whole thing for 29,999 hryvnia, including certificate. So the course is great, and I hope my trainees, Oksana, and my trainees, where is Natalia? Natalia has probably disappeared. So I know that they say they enjoyed the course, so we would really love to see you on our course. If you're interested, please apply through our website, or you can also contact Runa Center and they will tell you how to apply for the course. So everyone, thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for being here with us, with everybody today. I hope you found some useful tips, and teaching online will be much easier for you.
Thank you, Anya. On behalf of all of the participants, our huge thanks, and we would gladly welcome you again in Lviv at our CELTA courses and any other formal and informal events. Good luck and have a great rest of the holidays. Hope, colleagues, to see you soon at our future events.
Thank you very
Goodbye.
much. Goodbye, everyone. Stay safe, stay warm, and enjoy the rest of the holidays.
Thank
Okay,
you.
goodbye.
Goodbye.
швидко і результативно, щоб ми працювали сьогодні.